everybody, it's Megan here, the Healing Foods Coach. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. It's been a minute since my last longer video, if you will. So I hope you're all doing well. It is Tuesday, the 8th of July. It is about 4:30, and I'm excited because I had some time back that was owed to me. I basically had to stay late to help a customer last week, stayed over an hour after my shift, which meant I got to leave work an hour early today. So I'm actually home enjoying the remainder of this really nice afternoon and being able to make this video content for you guys. So I know it's been a little while, even since my last few little shorts. I was actually sick for about a week, caught a nasty cold virus. My suspicion is because at work they keep the air conditioning up way too high. So you're going from, say, last week it was like 26, 27 degrees plus, but with the aircon on, it felt like it was 15 in the office. So people were literally bringing in jackets and sweaters and hoodies and jumpers just so they wouldn't freeze in the office environment. And then you go outside to get that temperature change, that extreme temperature shift between the aircon setting and actual outside weather. Seems to be a breeding ground for colds and viruses. So anyways, that's what's been up with me. And the title of my topic today, or my message today, is I have a carnivore story to share, and I hope you want to listen. If you don't want to, that's cool. That's okay. You know, I sometimes wonder to myself, why do I make these videos? Why do I keep making them? You know, I'm working full-time in an office environment, in a call center, and I'm just carrying on every day, living my little life, staying carnivore, eating the things I know I should, avoiding all the things that cause me issues, just keeping on. And I'm now 5 years, folks, 5 years carnivore, okay? And I've never felt better in my whole life. And every once in a while, I kind of wonder, well, why keep making videos? Will it do anything? Will it help anybody? I don't know. But I wasn't quite ready to stop either, because first of all, you guys have been so incredibly supportive and encouraging. And I'm so thankful for all of your kind words and support over these many years. Questions and queries about what did I do and how did it work and how did it help. And so that's part of the reason why I want to keep doing this, because I'm realizing every day more and more there are so many more people out there who don't understand what really good, proper health and nutrition is. Now, let me preface that by saying, in my case, that is the carnivore diet. Okay, that has worked best for me. My husband is keto. Our son, our autistic son, is also keto, and that works great for them. I personally cannot have any sort of carb of any kind, no plants, none, because it upsets my gut. It makes my rosacea even worse. It just causes all kinds of problems. So I've learned over 5 years what to avoid. Okay, but there are people, my husband and my son being two of them, who do really well on a keto type of approach. You know, even when sometimes their choices are more low carb than keto, that works for them. That works great for them. It doesn't work for me, but it works for them. So when I say proper nutrition, I mean, I'm talking about taking out the obvious things, the processed junk, all the highly processed seed oils, and all the refined and processed sugars. Those are the three worst things we can possibly put into our bodies. Okay, regardless of how much we enjoy the taste, I think we can all accept and agree that those things are awful and we should get rid of them as quickly as possible. You may have to do it cold turkey. Some people can do it in moderation and wean themselves off. Whatever it takes, I'm thinking, get rid of that stuff. But when I sit and look around at people in the office, the majority of them, and I'll hear some of the women talking about how, oh, they want to lose weight. They've got summer holiday trips planned coming up, or they feel like, you know, they're not quite bathing suit ready. And yet they're sitting there eating salads and fat-free yogurt with all kinds of high fructose, high glucose fruits. So grapes and melons and peaches and those sorts of things. So that's ultimately not going to help. Or a lot of them come in and they'll make themselves oatmeal and yogurt every day. And it's hard because I get it. We're told that oatmeal and low-fat or fat-free yogurts with artificial flavoring, that's the best thing for us. And I've experienced for myself that is not the case. You know, let me clarify. If you are going to, yogurt itself is not an issue. It is very much on the keto plan and certainly on the carnivore plan because it's a dairy product. However, you should be looking to eat the full fat versions. Why? Because the higher the fat content, the more satiated you're going to feel, first of all. Okay, and that kind of helps counteract the carbs that are naturally occurring in dairy if it's got all the fat included. So if all you're eating is yogurt that's gotten all the good fats removed and all you're left with is the intrinsically found or naturally occurring sugars that are in the dairy, then you're not helping your body, right? You're just firing off things to your insulin like, oh, blood glucose is going to go up. So that's a whole major other conversation. But I see some of these women and they talk about how they feel so hungry and they wish they had more for lunch, and they're eating these, flatbread or wraps filled with lots of lettuce and vegetables and maybe fat-free mayonnaise, maybe a little bit of protein like some sliced turkey or sliced chicken, and they're hungry because they're not allowing themselves the ability to eat good, naturally occurring, amazing, let me say, amazing saturated fats. They're cutting it all out. And in the long run, you're just gonna, they'll likely just end up feeling deprived, or, some of them, I have no judgment because I lived that life for decades. Okay, restricting, counting calories, fat-free this, etc. And I felt miserable. And after a week, if I was lucky, if I lasted a week, after that I quit and I went back and ate all the other crap that I wanted, that I felt deprived from. And it's frustrating. It's heartbreaking to see. Just looking around at some of the people I work with in my office, never mind everybody out there on a regular daily basis who have been given incorrect information from our health services, from those in charge of the nutrition guide, saying we need to eat so much. We need to make sure that 55% of our diet comes from carbohydrates and 45% of that should be starchy Wow. And people wonder why we have an epidemic of type 2 diabetes and obesity. That to me is crazy, but that's what's out there, right? That is what's currently out there. So I get it. It's like I'm trying to swim upstream, but instead of going upstream, I'm a salmon trying to get upstream, except instead of facing water that I have to get up, I'm facing a concrete slide. In other words, it's almost impossible, right? Doesn't mean it won't happen, but it feels impossible at times. And so I often feel as though, well, I'm just a little tiny voice and my story is not that big a deal and it worked for me, but nobody else really wants to listen. So why bother sharing? And then I have to step back and think, wait a second. First of all, I'm made in God's image. I'm not saying I'm this amazing person because I'm like spectacular. I'm saying we are all God's children. We've all been made incredibly, and we are fantastic people simply by the fact that we have been created. Okay, we exist, therefore we are incredible human beings. And I say that honestly, trying to say that with all humility. I had no say in how I was going to be made or what I was going to end up being or looking like. No role in that. Okay, I just am because I am, and the fact that we are all like that as people, that's incredible. I realized even if I feel like maybe my voice is really small and maybe no one wants to listen, that's okay. Because maybe there's at least one other person who might find my story of interest or helpful or encouraging. And I know that's true because of all of you guys who have subscribed and liked and commented and shared your own stories, which are all amazing. But when I got rid of all of the garbage in my diet and I cut it back down to just carnivore for me, okay, for me, I saw amazing health benefits. If you've seen my videos, you know my story, but if this is the first time, I'm going to just try to summarize and share briefly. So first of all, within the first month of going carnivore, my brain fog started to lift, which I never thought would be at all possible. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2015. I had to stop working in January of 2016 because my brain fog was so bad I could not concentrate at work. I was making lots of mistakes. I was missing important details, causing issues for customers. And so I could no longer keep working. Among other reasons, physically, why I had to stop working as well. I was on major amounts of pain medication as well as medication that was supposed to help with the fibromyalgia pain, which dulled it but didn't fix it. Having no idea that the majority of the problem I was dealing with, as far as all the pain and inflammation, was a result of my own diet. I had no clue. Okay? I had no idea. Took the medications I was prescribed, continued to feel worse. Had to stop working. Well, within a month of going this way of eating, I suddenly started to realize I could concentrate again for more than a minute at a time. I could remember things. My short-term memory was completely shot. And I actually started to get it back within the first month. Within the first couple of months, I think I was down, 20, 25 pounds without trying. I simply changed my diet. I could not exercise or go to the gym. One, it was COVID, so that was out even if I had mobility. And second, I had extremely limited mobility because of the chronic inflammation and pain that I was dealing with at the time. So I didn't suddenly start running around the block or doing 10 miles a day or anything like that. I still had pain. I still had very limited mobility. I still couldn't stretch and exercise to any degree, but I was losing weight because I got rid of the crap and the garbage that I thought was good for me. All the cold cereals and the oats and the sugary fruit, lots and lots of sugary fruit, things like toast with peanut butter and jam or peanut butter and honey, and all these things that were just adding up and causing me nothing but inflammation. Okay, and there was a lot of that stuff. And it was COVID. So I was eating a lot of takeaway meals with my husband and our kids. I was eating a lot of stress eating, a lot of processed junk, chips or crisps as we call them here in the UK, cookies, desserts, all of it. Oh, I feel like an ice cream. Let's get ice cream. I want to have some dessert. I'm going to have dessert. I feel like I deserve a cookie because I feel stressed out. Done. And when I started to get rid of all of that stuff, within the first 2 months, I saw amazing changes. It did not change everything overnight. Okay, so if you think I'm going to share and say, and within 2 months, I lost 200 pounds. No. I was miraculously healed all at once in one day. No, it didn't happen that way. I had major healing, but it was not instant. I kept on with following carnivore eating. I kept eating when I was hungry till I figured out what that felt like, learning how to stop when I felt actually satiated instead of stuffing my face, and learning how to stop restricting myself from food when I felt hunger, which was a major struggle for me because I was bulimic for over 30 years. So that was a huge battle for me. Did it happen immediately? No, it didn't. Within the first 6 months of carnivore, I had dropped about 100 pounds, 45 kilos. And again, people are like, really? Really? A lot of that was inflammation and therefore water retention. But there was also a lot of extra fat on my body that my body did not need. And when I got rid of the foods that were causing my insulin to spike, my blood sugar to be raised all the time, my body unable to burn fat because it was constantly storing it, things started to change. And yes, I lost a great deal of weight. And I didn't really do much at all other than change my diet. But it was so much more than that. Over the past 5 years, I no longer struggle with deep depression. I was able to come off antidepressants. When I look back on how, now I still deal with anxiety and I can still get up, stressed about things that I have no control until I take a moment and go, right, maybe I should meditate on this. Prayer is a good start. And relax because there's got to be a solution even if I can't see it. Okay. My whole thing was I felt like I had to fix everything all by myself because I was the one who did it, as opposed to trusting that maybe someone else would be able to fix the problem, getting help from other people. So when I started to learn how to do that better, my anxiety levels started to come way down. My cortisol levels came down. I wasn't spiking my insulin constantly with glucose and fructose, sucrose, all of the oses. And so my insulin levels were coming down to a normal range. I was not constantly in fight or flight mode. So my cortisol levels were dropping, which meant my body can now start to burn its own onboard stored fat, which is what it's supposed to do anyways, right? And I just carried on. I just kept sticking with the food, sticking with the food, sticking with the food. Why? Because little by little, over the months and years, my overall levels of pain got less. My ability to go from having to be in a wheelchair for almost 9 years and using crutches around the house all the time, having carers in for 2 years to help me wash my hair and bathe and get dressed because I couldn't do it myself. I was in that much pain, to finally being able to do that all myself again. Over time, it gradually started to lessen. And I reached a point where I was like, oh my goodness, look at that. I can stand up in the shower without assistance. I can dress myself. I can shower. I can do all these little everyday little things that I could not do for years. I could suddenly start to do again. And honestly, you know where it started from? It started from me just trusting that I just needed to stick with the plan, which was eat the animal products. I learned and had to accept finally the hard way that I do not tolerate dairy at all other than butter. And that's only because it's basically all just the fat. Okay. The lactose is my problem. I don't tolerate lactose at all. So as much as I would love to be able to enjoy cheese and Greek yogurt and maybe some kefir or, cappuccinos with a nice frothy foam, I can't because I do not tolerate lactose. And I always knew that. I knew it for years, but I've finally resigned myself to the fact I just simply can't have it as much as I want it. It's not worth the suffering after. So there's certain things I've learned I simply don't tolerate and I have to eliminate and keep out. And that's helped me along the way as well. Things that I wish I could eat, like seasonings on meats, I can't do garlic or any spice of any kind, for example. People, are they carnivore? Sure, they can be carnivore or keto. Absolutely. I personally can't because I don't tolerate any seasoning of any kind. I just don't. Just causes my face to immediately react with a rosacea breakout. So I know what works and I know what doesn't work. And I stick to that. But what's amazing to me, and I forgot this so easily the other day, is that I sometimes forget where I've come from. Almost 9 years in a wheelchair, couldn't work for almost 8 years. And I've finally had enough healing gradually, little by little, moment by moment, over the past 5 years. I'm back at work full time. I can walk to work and home every day, even though I carry my laptop and everything in a bag that I have to take back and forth. But I can do that. I can walk to work and home again, and I feel fine. It doesn't cause me pain. I can go out and do long walks through town on the weekend. When we run errands, get our weekly shopping done, whatever it is, we're walking to do that. And there was time I couldn't do that at all at one point. I can sit and type away on the computer for hours and I'm all right. I can hold my Kindle or a book and read it and not have ache and pains in my joints. Excuse me. I can stand up for an hour or so at a music gig and overall be okay. I might have to stretch a bit before I go. I might have to sit down for a bit in between, bands, but I can go to a gig and enjoy it and not be filled with incredible pain like I used to be. That's amazing. That's my carnivore story. Is I've gone from being pretty much housebound in a wheelchair with almost zero mobility for years to being out in the world. And yes, I absolutely believe, God is in control of all of that. That's what I believe. Okay. but it was the diet. It was me changing my diet that allowed him to work. I don't know. Maybe you guys are with me, maybe you're not, but I'm thankful, because if I'd never discovered carnivore, I would never have had that healing. I would still be obese, on my way to fatty liver disease, chronic kidney disease. It would have progressed undoubtedly. I would be on my way to still living with an underactive thyroid, probably on my way to type 2 diabetes, because I was on my way to being pre-diabetic, and on a multitude more of medications than what I ended up with. And there would still be this unbelievable anxiety and depression, and probably still struggling with bulimia if none of that had changed. I don't know. Maybe that's worth sharing. I don't know. I just feel thankful that I can share my whole before and now my after. And I'm so thankful that you guys have all been there with me on this journey. I can't believe it has literally been 5 years today that I've been full carnivore, and I would never go back. Thankfully, I don't have to, because I definitely would never want to. But I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful for all the changes that have happened in my life, physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually, following all these dietary changes I've been able to make. And so if that helps even one other person somewhere out in this great big wide world, then I figure it's worth me sharing the story with you guys once again. And if you've heard it before and you're like tired of hearing it over and over, I do apologize. Feel free to skip this video, obviously, but hopefully this resonates with you in some way. I hope. I don't know what the future is going to bring. You know, I never imagined that I would get mobility back, that I would be healthy and fit and doing so well and back at work. I never imagined any of those things would ever happen, and yet they have, which is, wow, incredible. And it's easy for me when work gets stressful, when I get sick with a virus, or, you know, life challenges happen. It's easy for me to forget how lucky I am at this time and how far I've come. And so, yeah, I guess I wanted to make this video. So even if it's just you guys, as always, cheering me on, which I so appreciate, you guys are so amazing, then that's all that matters to me. So thank you all for that. I really, really do appreciate all of your kindness and all of your support. And I super, super hope, I really, truly hope that if you're just watching this for the first time, that this may be something that helps you, or perhaps this is something that will inspire you to try to make changes for yourself if you're dealing with similar things like fibromyalgia, chronic pain, whether that's arthritis, joint pain, musculoskeletal pain, SI joint dysfunction pain, which is at the bottom of your spine and your lower back, whatever it might be. Maybe you've broken an ankle or fractured a leg, or simply had a temporary but painful situation of acute pain, whatever it might be. If this helps you in some way, I hope it does. And if you want any advice ever about how do you start this carnivore thing, if you ever want advice, reach out, give me a call, let me know. I'm always happy to answer questions, always. Okay, you can either email me at thehealingfoodscoach@gmail.com, or you can leave comments below after the video, whatever works for you. And my guess is most of you are already trying this or doing this, and we're in this space together. So that's amazing. And hey, let me know how you're doing, truly, because we're supposed to be this community. So let's support each other, encourage each other, right? So if you ever, want to let me know how you're doing, or what your challenges are and what you're trying to do to overcome them, I'd love to hear. All right. That is it for me. It is a much longer than usual video, just based on the last few little short clips I've been putting together. And there'll be more of those coming as well, by the way. Now that I'm finally over being sick, there'll be more of that coming too. But I hope this is helpful. If not for yourself, maybe there's someone you know who's going through health challenges. They're talking about maybe doing low carb or keto or carnivore. Feel free to pass this on. Might help. The other thing I was going to say is, also, for those of my female tribe who are in the midst of or just coming through the menopause and you want to know if carnivore can help or you have any sort of questions like that, feel free to drop me a line. Okay. We got to go through those things together, I think. And yes, I finally got through menopause and carnivore was a huge help. Most definitely. So anyways, drop me a line if you're interested and ask your questions away and I'll answer the best I can. That's it for now. Sorry to keep rambling. I was very excited to make this video for you guys. It's been a while since I've done one of these formal with the backdrop and the whole bit video. So hope you enjoy. Thank you for watching all the way to the end and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye for now.